What's up, everybody? It's your boy Blue here, and we're doing another unboxing. This week we're doing an unboxing upgrade guide for the, we're going to start off on the 4 Dungeons & Dragons Commander deck precons. I know I'm a little late to the party. It's just been super busy. I got these in a little while ago. It's been super busy. I just haven't had a chance to get to them. So I'm going to start them this week, and I'm going to hopefully get through them in the next 4 weeks. We'll get through all 4. So let's get started on this one. I'm going to start off with the Planar Portal one. It's the black-red Prosper Tome-Bound deck. So let's just get it open. Let's see what's in it, and then I'll go through and do an upgrade guide. So let's do my favorite sound, and let's get this stuff out. Like I said, it's been pretty busy here at the Blue Bear household. We've had some stuff going on that just took up a lot of time. So, all right. So here's the box. I'm going to show you what's inside. Obviously, it's been a while since this has been out, so I'll just show you what I've got. So, obviously the little insert doesn't really matter. Usually, it used to be a player's guide, but I don't think it is anymore. This is what the light counter looks like. It's not bad. Definitely not the worst one. Obviously, an insert there. And then the deck. And then here's the box. For anybody who wants to see it, this is what it looks like. Has Prosper, it looks like, on the back. So, not bad. Again, I've mentioned it many times. Oh, yeah, and then it comes with the little stupid things that I haven't figured out what to do with yet. So, I mentioned it before. I'm going to open the deck now, and I'll say that the deck box itself. I really am not a fan of the new deck boxes. I really liked the old ones. I don't have them here anymore. I used to have them, but we're going to open this up, and I'll show you everything inside. Let's just take a look at them if you haven't done so already, and then go from there. So, Prosper. So, let's tell you what he does. So, he's 1 black, 1 red, 2 of any. He's a 1/4 with Death Touch. Okay? He has Mystic Arcanum. So, it means at the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library. At the end of your next turn, you may play that card. And then he also has a second ability, Pact Boon, which says whenever you play a card from exile, and that's important to remember, you create a treasure token. So keep that in mind. The secondary one that they chose for this is Karazikar, the Eye Tyrant. So he's 1 black, 1 red, 3 of any for a 5/5. He is a Beholder. Gotta love Beholders. I love Beholders. Whenever you attack a player, tap target creature that player controls and goad it. And what goading means is until your next turn. That creature attacks each combat if able, and attacks a player other than you if able. And then the other ability is whenever an opponent attacks another one of your opponents, you and the attacking player each draw a card and lose a life. Okay, so that's secondary commander. So I'll get into the rest of it. All right, so they added a Warlock class. I'm a fan of the classes. The Warlock is, to me, the weakest, so it's not the greatest, but it's better than, not having a class at all. Chaos Channeler, they added that. So a lot of the cards are going to be the Dungeons & Dragons abilities. So it has the rolling a die ability. Each one of them has a different name. Kind of weird. They didn't have a set name for all of them, but whatever. You find some prisoners. I'm just going to read them off to you. And if you want to take a look at what they do, you can pause the video and read it real quick. I'll mention a couple and read them off. But Bucknard's Everfull Purse. Ebony Fly. Ender Dark Rift. Thesis, I don't know. Light Up the Stage, good card, really good card. Loyal Apprentice, I'm glad that they reprinted this. I actually needed this for a deck of my own. I want to put this into my Perforos mono red deck. Shiny Impetus, Throes of Chaos, good for cascading. Vandal Blast, also a good card, good for a lot of destruction when it comes to artifacts. Bituminous Blast. Bituminous. I don't know how to say that word. Bituminous. Rakdos Charm. Oldie but goodie. Terminate. Even older. Arcane Signet. Like every deck that they're putting them in now. Commander Sphere. Felwar Stone. They did put a lot of the good 2-cast mana rocks in this set of 4 of the precons. Mind Stone. Oraska Relic. Rakdos Signet. A Soul Ring, a Talisman, the red-black one, Unstable Obelisk, a Bazooka Bog to blow up somebody's graveyard, a Command Tower, a Mortuary Mire, a Rakdos Carnarium, a Bag of Devouring. This one's a newer card, so I'll let you read that for a second. Dance Macabre, Death Tyrant, Grim Hireling, a Hellish Rebuke, Lorcan Warlock Collector, Fiendlash, interesting equipment. Reckless Endeavor, Share the Spoils, and a Wild Magic Sorcerer, Fevered Suspicion. Like I said, if you need to read them, just pause the video. Hurl Through Hell, love the name of that card. Cheering Witch, puts rats into play. I actually think I have this, or I'm going to end up putting that into my Rat Tribal deck for Maronar. Consuming Vapors, Dead Man's Chest, Fiend of the Shadows, Gonti, Lord of Luxury, a Hex, Marionette Master. This guy is good for a lot of combos and a lot of decks. Ogre Slumlord, good for a rat deck as well. Piper of the Swarm. So they went with a sub-theme of the rats, it looks like. Pontiff of Blight, I actually need this for some of my decks, so... Apex of Power. Actually, let me read that one too. This one's actually pretty cool with Prosper. So it is expensive, it's 10 to cast, but remember his ability is to put treasure tokens in place, so you should be able to cast it faster. But exile the top 7 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among them, and then if the spell is cast from your hand, you can add 10 mana of any one color. So it's actually not that bad of a card. You can get it cast pretty quickly, and then you get the extra 10 mana to spend to cast the spells. So it's actually not a bad card. Chaos Warp, they put that in every single red precon now. Commune with Lava, and Dark Dweller Oracle. I actually think I had this in one of my Battle Brew decks for my goblins. Alright, Dire Fleet Daredevil. Some of the pirates actually work really well with cards that require exiling, so read that real quick. Disrupt Decorum. I actually needed this. I'm going to put this in my Edgar deck. So it goads all creatures that you don't control so that they have to attack. All creatures, basically, it's what Blue used to have, Siren's Call. It makes all your creatures have to attack, but the good thing about goad is they can't attack you. Unless, of course, there's no other options. Dream Pillager. Itali. I actually have a blue-red pirate tribal deck that uses this card. What it does is it allows you to play your opponent's cards from exile. So with Prosper, that's a really good addition. Ignite the Future. Is it Chemister? Tectonic Giant. Another one of those ones. I think I had that in my. I think I either suggested it or added it if I had any to my Pirate Tribal deck that I made for my budget commander stuff. Bedevil, nice targeted removal. Theater of Horrors. I actually like this card a lot. It does a lot of different things for a lot of different decks. This just happens to be one that it works really well in. Chaos Wand. Some Lands Exotic Orchard. They put that in every single deck now. Foreboding Ruins. A Shadowblood Ridge. Smoldering Marsh has the types here, so that's a good thing. For fetch lands, Spine Rock Knoll. It's a hideaway card. Tainted Peak. I need this for myself. I should have bought more of just this deck just to get Tainted Peaks plus the other cards in there because I can use them for budget decks. I need this for my own decks. I need a bunch of these, actually. Zalfrin Void. And then Swamps, Swamp, Mountains. They use the ones from the Adventures of the Forgotten Realm, so they all have text in them. Got the thick version of Prosper. That's really thick. You can't really use it for a whole lot except to signify your commander. And then Rat Tokens, Servo Tokens, Thopter Tokens, and what's on the back of those? Let's see what's on the back of them. Treasure Tokens, Zombie Tokens, more treasure, and zombies. So that's what's included in the deck. And again, if you need to, pause it so you can read a couple of the cards. I didn't want to have to sit here and read them off to you because it takes a little bit of time to just do that. So I'm going to go through here now. I'll have Prosper here, so every time it comes down, or one of the suggestions I have comes down, you can actually read what Prosper does if you need to. Let me zoom in on him so you can see him clearer. It's actually not a bad deck. I actually like the theory behind it. It's pretty good. So on top of that, I'm going to now go from telling you what's inside the box to telling you how to upgrade this even a little bit. Everything is a suggestion. Depends on how you want to play the deck. It's not a bad one. I actually like this. This may actually end up becoming my black-red deck for my 32 color wheel challenge because I don't have a black-red one yet. I like the way this plays, so we're going to go with it. So let me get into some upgrades for the deck. All right. I always start off with lands. I don't know why they package this the way they do, but I'll start with lands. So in the past, I've always given you all the duels and I put them up here for you guys to see. I'm not going to do that anymore because you guys know what the duels are. You know what needs to be done. So you've got, obviously, the OG dual land. You got the shock land. You got the fetch land. You know, you might not have access to all of them, so I'm not going to suggest them. I'm just going to tell you, going forward for every video, look at the dual lands for the color combinations that you have. Whatever you can get your hands on, whether it be in budget or not, go ahead and look for them. I'm not going to just throw them out there anymore. It's just a throwaway. It takes up too much time. I'm going to go into other lands that you can use. So we're in black. So obviously, if you want to ramp up your mana a little more, you're going to go with the Cabal Coffers and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth combination. Always a great one. It helps you get black into play. It makes all land swamps, blah, blah, blah. I'll have them up here for you to see. Then you have a new card from the Adventures of the Forgotten Realms, Treasure Vault. It helps you create treasure tokens. Since Prosperity does that, what's wrong with having a couple more added to it, right? One of the Modern Horizons 2 cards that just came out is Urza Saga. There is actually no reason that every deck in Commander shouldn't have one of those, because it can go get you either a specific kind of land that you could need, or it goes and gets you a mana rock that is usually a Soul Ring. So it's very helpful. War Room, I suggest that lately for almost every deck because it helps you draw cards, especially in decks that don't have blue. War Room is a good addition to a deck like this. Castle Locktwain, it's the black castle. It helps you draw cards. See the little theory, the theme there I'm doing is you need to be able to draw cards. You're not in colors, like the two colors here are not great at drawing cards. They're okay, but it's painful to do so. So I'm trying to make it less painful. And then you got Strip Mines. I suggest always having at least some sort of a land that can kill another land, because you never know what your opponent's going to have. So I will suggest a Strip Mine. So those are just a couple of the suggestions that I would add in here. There wasn't a lot that deals with, exiling cards, casting them, or treasure tokens as far as Magic has currently. So that was the best that I could come off the top of my head with. For ramp, and again, we're in red and black, so the ramp options aren't really there. This Wizards did a very good job of adding a lot of the 2-to-cast mana rocks, which I normally suggest anyway. So we can skip them, and we can go into a little different kind of a theory, okay? So I always suggest everybody a Mana Crypt, if you have the means, or Jeweled Lotus, again, if you only have the means. But one of the things that you can do is, because Prosper says when you cast things from exile, you create treasure tokens, let's go into things that have, say, Suspend, or something like that. So things like a Lotus Bloom, or a Mox Tantalite, or a Soul Talisman, they all have, you can suspend them by paying 0 and then putting them into play. I think Soul Talisman costs 1 to suspend, but so when you cast it, after all the time counters come off, it's basically being cast from exile. So you, as it says here, whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token, you not only get whatever card you have out of exile that you cast from suspend, you also get a treasure token on top. Because you're creating a lot of treasure tokens, you can also use a Mox Opal now. Again, a little pricey, but I mean, it works in a deck where it has a lot of, you're going to be creating a lot of treasure tokens if you do the deck right. So why not use a Mox Opal? Liquid Metal Coating is a 2-drop mana rock they forgot. You're in red, and it has destruction of artifacts. So you can actually use Liquid Metal Coating defensively by making something of your opponent's an artifact and then using Vandal Blast, and you're going to kill it. Basically, you're going to make their commander an artifact, and then you're going to Vandal Blast to kill it. And then Thought Vessel, they missed that one because you might be able to draw a lot of cards. There is some card draw that black has, and there is some, I guess you can consider red has some card draw where you discard a card and draw 2. So you might get your hand beyond 7. So Thought Vessel is a 2-drop mana rock, and it also increases your hand size to no maximum. So all good additions. So that's what I have for you as far as the ramp section. Again, Wizards did a good job of throwing in the 2 colors here. Without ramp, they put a lot of the 2-drop mana rocks. So those are what's left over. As far as your dudes, your creatures, I like to call them dudes for short. So you have a couple ways you can go. So this deck is obviously going to want to do stuff with treasure tokens, and it's also going to want to do things where you play from exile. So I'm going to go over the treasure token side of the creatures first, and then I'll go into the exile creatures where you can cast things from exile. So we're going to start off with, obviously, a Dockside Extortionist to create a lot of treasure tokens. Goldspan Dragon also creates a lot of treasure tokens. It's a good addition as far as this deck goes. Ragavan, Nimble Pilfer, and I know these are expensive cards, all of them, but they work well in here if you have the means or you already own them from opening them from a pack. Great. I mentioned earlier that I have a deck, a Pirate Tribal deck that's red and blue that uses treasure tokens from my budget commander decks. Captain Lannery Storm, I've stolen from that idea, and you can put it in here and you can start creating treasure tokens as well. Zorn helps you, when you create a treasure token, you create an additional one, so that's a good addition here. Hellkite Tyrant is a win con. If you have 20 or more artifacts in play at the beginning of your upkeep, you win. Disciple of the Vault, it's a good little pinger, so whenever any, and it's not just your own, so remember, treasure tokens go to the graveyard. all things that even tokens go to the graveyard before they're exiled. So every time an artifact, not just your own, go to the graveyard, it can ping somebody for one. What do we got here? Nadier's Nightblade. All right, listen. Nadier's Nightblade. It came from... I forget where it came from. Oh, Lathril. It was in Lathril. The precon for Lathril. Whenever a token goes to the graveyard, you can ping somebody. Listen. It doesn't say a creature token. It just says tokens. So whenever you sacrifice a treasure token, Nadier's ability actually goes on the stack. So keep that in mind. And Mayhem Devil, also another one where if anybody sacrifices something, so you're going to be sacrificing treasure tokens. There are a lot of other decks out there that are use sacrifice as an entire theme. So whenever somebody sacrifices something, it does a damage. So Mayhem Devil is another option you can go with. On the exile cards from the top of your library, or exile them for anywhere and play them from exile, you've got things like Laela, the Blade Reforged. It's a nice little choice. You got Florian. Florian also helps you with that. Brea's Apprentice, when it comes into play, I believe that's the one that you create a Thopter token. So it puts a creature into play for you, and then you can sacrifice. I believe that one's the one that allows you to sacrifice artifacts for a benefit as well. I'm going to have it up here for you. Robber of the Rich. It's a nice little one to go in here as well. You've got Conspiracy Theorist. Conspiracy Theorist is another option to go with in this deck. I'm going to go back to what I had mentioned earlier. So my Pirate Tribal deck that exiles cards from the top of people's libraries and you steal them, it was a Breeches deck. So why not add Breeches to this deck so you can play other people's cards from exile? Because it doesn't matter if you play your own or somebody else's. Prosper's ability goes off. All right. What else we got here? Prophetic Flame Speaker. That's another addition that you can add here. Sir Kara the Bold. I believe that one helps you create tokens whenever you play something from exile, but I can't remember. I'm going to have it up here. It's been a while since I actually put the list together of the things that I would add here. I can't remember off the top of my head what everything does. My MS is kicking in, especially when I do a video. So I'm trying to remember. Sir Kara, I know it does a damage to something. You can tap to do a damage. Whenever you deal damage, I think you can exile that person's top card, and you may play it until end of turn or something like that. Again, I'm going to have it up here. Squee the Immortal. That one you can play from exile. So if you have something, I don't know, that can make things go to exile. I don't think I have anything in here from suggestions, but Squee can be played from exile. So if you can find a way to exile it every turn, Prosper's ability goes off. What else do I have here? Oh, that's it, actually. As far as dudes go, that's the suggestions I have off the top of my head that I could think of. So those are a few that you can put in here. Taking out the cards. I haven't gone into taking what you want to take out because I don't know how you play. So things that you don't like in this deck, depends on the theory you want to do. Go ahead and take them out and then add some of these suggestions, and it will make this deck run a little smoother. Spells. We're going to go into the spells section right now. We're going to start off with Brass's Bounty. It creates treasure tokens. Obviously, that's what this deck wants to do. It helps ramp you up. Jessica's Will. I'm actually going to skip out. There's not a lot to create tokens in the spell section. That's usually in the creatures and in other ways. Obviously, Prosper himself. So we're going to skip into the exile and cards, and that's going to be Jessica's Will. Tibalt's Trickery actually is an interesting one. It's kind of a red counterspell, so it lets you get something else and play it from exile. So you exile, I think it's you mill 3 or 2, and then it's actually 1, 2, or 3, depending on what you randomly roll. And then you exile cards from top of your library until you exile a card that I think shares a type with it. And then you can play it from exile. That triggers Prosper. What else do we got here? Act on Impulse. That helps you exile cards from top of your library and then play them. So, again, plays with Prosper very well. Galvanic Relay also does the same thing. And Ignite the Future goes along with that theory as well. As far as defensively, you've got Board Wipes in black with Damnation. You've got targeted removal for problems on the board, like Dreadbore. They already actually had one in here. Some targeted removal, especially in the colors of red and black. You've got, like I mentioned earlier, where draw spells. So red has things like Seize the Spoils, where you discard a card, draw 2, and then you can create a treasure token. There's a second one that you can do, but it costs 4 mana to do it. So I didn't suggest it, but it's possible to do. You've got things that you can foretell. Foretelling cards means that you exile them and then play them from exile later. So things like Poison the Cup, which is targeted removal, but it's foretell, so it will trigger Prosper. Profane Tutor, another example of a card that you can, how do I put this? That you can play from exile because it gets suspend. That's the word I'm looking for. Suspend. It gets suspended, and then you can play it later, or you can play it after the counters come off of it, and it's considered playing from exile. Throes of Chaos is an interesting way that you can cascade into it, which will still count as being played from exile. And then Mizzix's Mastery. So it lets you take stuff from your graveyard. So you can do it with one spell, where you can exile a card and then flash it back, or you can overload Mizzix's Mastery, and then all of your cards can be played from exile from your graveyard. So a couple of examples of cards, spells that you can do to upgrade this deck just a little bit. Next section we're going to go into is enchantments. We're going to start with some of the stuff you can do for treasure tokens. The card I'm going to mention first, Revel in the Riches. It counts as a way to get treasure tokens into play. It also counts as an additional win con for you. Then you've got Curse of Opulence. You can curse one of your opponents, and every time they do something, you can create a treasure token. So those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. Then you've got things that you can play from, make so that you can play cards from exile. You got Valakut Exploration. Then you got Stolen Strategy. I think that lets you play your opponent's cards from their top of their library. I think I had that, or I suggested that in my Malcolm and Breeches deck, the Pirate Tribal one. You've got Cunning Rhetoric. That's another one you can do. And then you've got Possibility Storm, where everybody, when they play something, they actually exile cards from top of the library until they find something that matches it as far as the card type, and then they play that for free. It basically makes everything you play end up being from exile. So that's a great way to add more tokens in, or add more treasure tokens to your board through Prosperous ability. And then, again, card draw is important, and Black has probably one of the best enchantments for card draw in the game. It's not really card draw per se, it's putting cards in your hand, but that's Necropotence. Always a great one. And then, of course, it also has Phyrexian Arena, where you pay a life and draw an extra card each turn. So, good options for adding additional card draw into your deck, especially for playing Black. And that's all I got for the enchantments. Artifacts. We're going to go into artifacts. So, I didn't mention this in the creatures because, for me, this guy is not a creature. He is, but, I mean, his ability just screams it should have been an artifact without the creature type. Without a creature being a creature. Academy Manufacturer. So, whenever you create one of the three tokens, food, treasure, or regular creature token, create an additional one. Great. Obviously, in this deck works great. Protection for your commander, so protection for Prosper, Lightning Greaves. I believe they had something in here to protect them, but you always want to put more in. Inspiring Statuary is an interesting one. So you're playing, or not playing, but you're adding a lot of treasure tokens to your board state. Instead of sacrificing them, why not use the Inspiring Statuary to pay the colorless by, instead of sacking them, using them as the permanents for tapping them for the one colorless that you need, right? Uva Mask lets you play things, when you, instead of drawing, you exile cards from your library, and then you play cards from your library that way. Fits into the theme very well. Oracle's Vault. It's not a very good rare, but nonetheless, it works in some decks. This is the one deck it does, because you exile the top card of your library. You may play until either end of turn or end of your next turn. I can't remember what the wording was on it, but it allows you to essentially draw a card in this kind of a deck. You basically exile the card, and then it has a second ability. I think it starts off where you pay 2 and tap to do it, and then you put a counter on it, and after a certain amount of counters on it, you can just tap to do it. I forget. Again, I'm going to have it up here so you can read it exactly. It's a great addition to this. It's like a 25-cent rare, but in this deck it can actually shine. And then you've got the two artifacts that you usually use with white to lock down your opponent, which is Knowledge Pool and Omen Machine. So basically it makes it so that you can only play things, you don't draw cards, you exile cards from the top of your library, and then you can play them. So instead of drawing a card, you exile the top card of your library, and then you may play it. I think it's for free on both of them. In white, they use that to lock you down by using a Drannith Magistrate, where you can't play anything from anywhere but your hand. In this deck, the point of it is pretty much to basically play it from exile so you can create treasure tokens and ramp up and then do whatever. I mean, you can use the Revel in Riches to win the game. What is the other one? What's the creature's name? The Hellkite, the Tyrant's Hellkite. What the hell? Hellkite Tyrant. So it just fits the theme really well in that one. So that's about all I got for the artifacts section. They did a pretty good job of building this one right out of the box. So, and the last section we got, though, is Planeswalkers. Didn't have a lot of Planeswalkers I could think of that would really fit here. Obviously, there are 3 Chandras that do, because they help you play things from exile. They add, mana to your mana pool when you need it. You got Chandra's Fire Artisan, then you got Chandra Pyromaster, and then you've got Chandra Torch of Defiance. Torch of Defiance is probably the best of the 3. She's like Red's version of a Jace the Mind Sculptor. It has 4 abilities. One of them's a plus, one of them's a 0, one of them's a negative, and then the ultimate. She fits really well into this deck. She allows you to do the things you want to do. So those are the 3 Chandras. The final Planeswalker I'm going to mention to you is actually the flip one that was recently printed. Tobalt Cosmic Imposter. If I remember correctly, my memory's kind of crap lately because of the MS. I believe that you're actually doing this for Valky, God of Lies. If I remember correctly, I think Valky's the better option. I don't think the Tobalt side fits this one. I'm going to have both sides up here for you all to see, and you can judge for yourself, but I believe it was the Valky. No, I'm sorry. Reverse that. I believe it was the Tobalt side that was the better of the 2. You know what? I'm just going to have it up here, and you can read it. I can't remember which one was the better of the 2 for the sides that you want. Off the top of my head, I remember one of them plays stuff from exile, so I'll have it up here. You can judge for yourself. So, anyway, I apologize if this was a little bit messy. I've been super busy. I didn't have a lot of time to put this video together. The Christmas season has literally rung upon me, and I've been so busy putting decks together, selling decks, going online with stuff, that it kind of affected the way that this video was. I apologize for that. I will try to dedicate more time for the next one so that I can be a little bit more versed in what I'm going to tell you. So, that is my time for the week. I apologize again. I'll make sure the next video is a lot better. But otherwise, I mean, I try my best. Do me the favor. Because I try my best, that at least deserves you to like the video. Give it a thumbs up. Smash that like button if you will. And give me some love. On top of that, if you haven't done so already, we've gotten a lot in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know what happened, but I went from, I think it was 340 to 363, so we're getting there. Trying to get to that 500 so I can give that deck away to somebody who needs it or wants it. If you don't know what that is, go to my Blues Budget Battle Bruised Explained video and you can see what that's about. But go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I don't understand what you're waiting for. And then share this video out to somebody who may be building a Prosper deck and needs a couple of upgrades, or somebody who wants to buy the actual precon, maybe on the fence, and wants to see exactly what's in it. Instead of looking at a list, they want to see the cards themselves. So share it out to somebody who may want to do that. Other than that, I'm done for the week. I will see you all next week with the next Adventures in the Forgotten Realms Dungeons and Dragons Commander Precon. Have a good one. I'll see you then.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Do it now!